Hello, my name is Lea Merrifield, and I'm currently taking Sportsman 3. And for my project, I focus on nutrition and specifically intermittent fasting. To understand intermittent fasting and how it affects the body, I will be addressing what intermittent fasting is, the different types of methods, the goals, the benefits and disadvantages, the exceptions in fasting, along with the results and effects. So, what is intermittent fasting? Intermittent fasting is not so much a diet, but rather a method and habit of eating. While intermittent fasting, there are periods of fasting and periods of eating, all can which differ depending on the method an individual decides to choose. With starting intermittent fasting, it is important to remember the mental aspects that also go with it, such as being committed to the diet and having self-discipline, as when the diet is first started, it can be difficult to go from eating whenever one wants to having specific times one can only eat in. Different types and methods of intermittent fasting. There are several types of methods of IF, as one can be more achievable or effective for the individual at hand. The most common types of fasting are the 16-8 method, in which there is an 8-hour period open to eat and the other 16 hours are spent fasting. The 5-2 method, which is 2 days a week. The individual eats 500 to 600 calories or completely fast, and 5 days a week is their regular personal diet. The eat, stop, eat, which is 1 or 2 24-hour fasts per week, and the rest of the 5 to 6 days are on regular diet. The alternate day, which entails switching every other day between 500 calories or a complete fast and the regular diet. And finally, one of the most difficult diets, the warrior diet, which is 20 hours of under eating or completely fasting and 4 hours of overeating, or other known as feasting. The most common in the 16 is the 16-8 method, and from there people begin to progress through more longer time periods of not eating. To show some examples for the layers of each method are, as you can see, a lot of these entails, or the 16-8 method entails skipping breakfast, as it is one of the most uh, easy meals to skip as you go from sleeping. And so it's just a continuation. And the first meal usually starts at 12, and the last meal usually ends at 8. And for the others, you can see there's a skip in a day. Here you see an alternate day in the warrior diet. As you can see, the warrior diet has a large time of not eating, which is why it can be most difficult. So the goals for intermittent fasting. The main reason as to why people start the intermittent fasting diet is for weight loss, though the benefits and further idea as to why intermittent fasting is good for the body can contribute as to why people would want to begin. When the body gets used to a routine of nutrient intake, it contributes to improvements in the body, which all domino off each other. Along with weight loss, intermittent fasting creates a metabolic shift, promotes mindful eating, regulates blood sugar, increases your lifespan, and enhances brain function. The way fat loss works while intermittent fasting is blood glucose levels drop, therefore decreasing insulin production, because insulin is what balances glucose levels. Then the body starts burning stored energy from carbohydrates, and once the body runs out of stored energy, it begins to burn stored fat. Expanding on the metabolic shift, which is the depletion of stored glycogen in the liver and fatty acids from fat cells. A very important term in effect from intermittent fasting is autophagy. Autophagy is triggered while the body is fasting, meaning the body will start to remove damaged cells, which are then replaced by newer and healthier ones. Through the process of intermittent fasting, it is important that physical exercises is performed, because that is what turns on the metabolic switch to signal the cells. With every type of diet or eating method, there are its advantages and disadvantages. With intermittent fasting, there are many things to consider before starting. First, diving into the pros of fasting, it supports weight loss, lowers risk of disease, increases brain activity, improves digestion, as the body has a constant time and order on which it knows it will need to digest food. It also manages blood sugar and creates an eating pattern, which can be a major as it gives routine. Though there are cons which can make some question going on this type of diet as it can constrict or not fit to their lifestyle. With intermittent fasting, it is difficult to stick with long term, interferes with social life as you may not be able to eat at events to keep your consistency. There's irregular menstrual cycles can occur due to a change because there's a lack of caloric intake and a lack of stored nutrients and fat. There are also increased chances of binging, as being restricted for too long can make someone eat more when they are able to revert, which reverses the goal of trying to lose weight. Along with that, there is an anything goes attitude, as there is not a specific meal plan that the methods provide. So, if wanting to start intermittent fasting, understanding what it entails is a crucial part of considering your options. During the fasting period, there are exceptions of things you can intake. Actually, one of the most important parts of intermittent fasting is hydration, as water is the most essential nutrient for the body, and water helps deliver nutrients throughout your body. The drinks that are permitted during fasting are all 0 to minimal calories, including water, black coffee, and teas without any added sugars or creamers, apple cider vinegar, and bone broth. And bone broth is because it replenishes nutrients but won't affect the ketosis in your body, which is the state where your body is burning fat. Finally, we come to the results and effects from intermittent fasting. Here can be seen the differences between a normal 3-meal schedule without fasting and a generalized idea of what fasting does. Through a 3-meal schedule, there is less time between each meal, meaning a fat burn is unable to start, at least without exercise, as the process in which fat begins to burn takes at least 12 hours to start. In a typical intermittent fasting method, there is always non-eating periods for at least 12 hours, and depending on the method, the longer the fast, the longer the fat burning. Though since there are long periods of not eating without, and the body needs something to depend on, an individual has to be careful and aware of proper nutrients when in the eating period. As for the results from intermittent fasting, most people report noticeable effects seen between 2 to 3 months, as that is how long it takes for the body to create and identify a specific pattern in eating, digestion, and use nutrients and energy. The times of seeing effects vary, as there are factors that contribute to seeing results sooner. Those of which include being in a consistent working out or physical activity routine, eating in moderation when in eating window, along with eating proper nutrients, the method the individual is in, the metabolism of the individual, as people with higher metabolism lose more calories at a faster rate than those with a lower metabolism, and most importantly, how much one is hydrating during, between, and after eating period. Intermittent fasting is a method in which requires knowledge and an understanding of nutrients for your specific lifestyle so that you can find the right method for you. Thank you.